brand new documentary out on Hulu called Barbara Walters Tell Me Everything. And now I'm a huge Barbara Walters fan. I grew up on Barbara Walters. And I have to say that she is really the catalyst to me being super interested in celebrities overall. And it was the way that she was able to pull out questions when she would interview them. And I remember so many of these, and and how it made me feel connected to celebrities when we didn't have social media, now mind you. So there, and they do talk about that in the documentary, how things have shifted and changed, and celebs are now really just telling their own stories on social media, where there was none of that. You had to have a Barbara Walters to do it for us. So this documentary is really about, how she dealt with sexism, her ambition, and really the overall challenges that women face achieving any sort of success, specifically her success in journalism. A couple things actually stood out in this documentary specifically, and I jotted down a couple of sticky notes. But the first one is how clever she was in creating workarounds with her male colleagues so that she could get what she want, and to also overcome the obstacles that were put in front of her. Now, there's a saying called eating crow, and that is literally what she had to do a lot of times. She couldn't make waves. It was a different time. It was a different era. And she had to play a game to get what she wanted. And it showed that. It shows you how she was able to accomplish a lot of what she had to accomplish in a very male-dominated, sexist environment. The other thing that stood out to me is she had this rivalry with Frank McGee, who was an on-air anchor. Kind of got her role on TV because he died. And so there was this joke about over Frank's dead body, because he was saying, like, she'll sit next to me over my dead body. And then he does, and she's sitting in his chair. Oprah Winfrey is in this, and she is interviewed, and she does lean into how much Barbara Walter herself and the style of her interviewing really molded how Oprah Winfrey went on to do her own, the impact that Barbara Walters had on her. It also goes into this complex relationship that she had with her daughter. She adopted her daughter, and, Barbara's main child her entire life was her career, and her child, this adopted child, really came second a lot of times. And I think there's an honest or a semi-honest viewpoint to that in this film, but it was very intriguing to me to see her probably later in her life kind of realize some missed opportunities there. The other relationship that I was intrigued by was her relationship with a man named Roy Cohn, who was this very controversial lawyer in New York City. And they made it seem like they were in this relationship. And from what I understand, Cohn was gay, and they even joked apparently at one time about getting married. And I think that that's sort of where Barbara, once again, looping back into my first piece that I was talking about, of how she was able to kind of leverage things to her advantage with men. And this is one of those instances, I think, because Cohn wound up helping her father, who was in a lot of trouble. And by the way, the story of her father is so interesting, and how he sort of owned this, burlesque club at one point. And he owed back taxes, and Cohn assisted in them going away and somehow. And I think Barbara Walters kind of felt a kinship with him, probably not romantically, obviously, or maybe she wanted it to be, but obviously he was not going to reciprocate that. But the dynamic there was interesting. This is a really solid documentary film. I say definitely give it a watch, specifically if you're into any, women breaking the mold, sexism in, certain industries, and then also just a life, and seeing a life that was so amazing, and all the people that she was able to speak to, and how she was able to get the things that she got out of them is just, It was a great doc. I'm giving it a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars. Go check it out now. It's on Hulu.